Help. My dreams have become real. Written by Reddit user CrimsonBayonet. I am terrified of going to sleep. Every night I lie in bed staring at the ceiling, too afraid to close my eyes. It all started a few weeks ago when I had a nightmare that felt too real to just be a dream. I remember being in a dark, musty room with a pale white monster that had translucent skin. Its eyes were black and empty, and it smelled of rusty iron and ammonia. The monster was staring at me, and I could feel its gaze pierce through my soul. Suddenly, the monster lunged at me, and I woke up screaming, drenched in sweat. I thought it was over, but then I noticed a sharp pain in my arm. When I looked down, I saw a deep cut that wasn't there before, and it was bleeding profusely. I was confused and scared, wondering how I could have hurt myself in my sleep. The next night, I tried to stay awake, but eventually exhaustion took over, and I drifted off into a restless sleep. Once again, I found myself in that dark room with the monster. It was closer this time, its pale skin almost touching mine. I could feel its breath on my face as it whispered something I couldn't understand. Then the monster attacked me again. I woke up screaming once more. This time, I had a cut on my leg, the same kind of cut as the one on my arm from the previous night. I was terrified and confused, wondering how this was happening to me. The following nights were no different. Every time I slept, I found myself in that dark room with the monster, and every time it attacked me, leaving me with a new cut on my body. I was scared for my life and I didn't know what to do. One day, I decided to seek help from a sleep specialist. They ran some tests, but everything came back normal. I was told that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me, and that I needed to relax and get some rest. But I knew it wasn't just my imagination. That monster was real, and it was coming for me every night. I didn't know what to do until one day I stumbled upon an old book about spirits and demons. I read that some demons could enter your dreams and harm us, leaving physical marks on our bodies. I knew then that I was dealing with something beyond my comprehension. I started researching ways to protect myself from evil spirits, and I found some rituals that might help. I started burning sage in my room, and I placed protective crystals under my pillow. Finally, one night, I fell asleep, and I found myself again in that dark room with the monster. But this time, something was different. The monster was hesitant, as if it was afraid of me. I stood my ground, holding up a protective crystal, and the monster backed away, disappearing into the darkness. The next morning, I woke up and I felt different. I wasn't scared anymore. I knew that I had faced my fears and conquered them. I looked at my body and there were no new cuts. I knew then that the monster was gone for good. Or so I thought. I started to notice strange occurrences happening around me. Things would move on their own and I would hear whispers in the middle of the night. I didn't understand what was happening, but I knew that it had something to do with the monster. One night, I heard a loud pounding on my door. I froze in fear, knowing that I live alone and it was at my bedroom door. I tried to muster up the courage to face whatever it was, as the door creaked open and I saw the thing standing before me. It was no longer just a nightmare. It was real, and it had a name.
I am Calcon.
The monster spoke, its voice a deep and guttural growl that turned my skin pale and cold.
And I have come for you.
My ears started to ring and my heart started to race. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I was paralyzed with fear as Calcon approached me. It was then that I realized that I was going to die. His skin radiating with that horrible smell and his teeth being brighter than what I remember. Calcon stood there and stared at me. As I'm typing this, he's still watching me as if he wants me to. I felt that my time was limited, but I had to warn others about Calcon, about the danger that was coming for them.
Bring them to me, child.
Calcon spoke with a thunderous tone that rang through my head. As I wrote, Calcon watched me with curiosity, as if amused by my feeble attempts to warn others. But I didn't give up. As I'm typing this, a sharp pain is in my chest. I can hear his voice edging me on to infect others with him. He's going to kill me this time. I'm sure of it. I want to leave behind a warning to those who would read my story. Calcon is real and is coming for you next. I'm sorry that I tricked you all into cursing yourself. Calcon told me he's hungry, and I must feed him the stories of others. To find him you. I have to be honest, as it's too late now. You are next. There's no fighting this. He can smell your hot, salty breath. Do you hear that creak behind you? Don't look. He won't be there. You're looking around frantically while reading this on your black screen. He can see you. He can smell you. He can taste you. All hail Calcon, the fallen god, the grand architect of the library. Rejoice, for you are a necessary sacrifice for his insatiable hunger. Rejoice, as we are now one with the grand architect, Calcon. Rejoice.